So we spent a lot of time talking about the matrix. Where's Paul? Paul is sort of religiously going by the matrix. Ever since I sailed with Paul the very first time, he's been talking about that magic matrix. And over the years that I sailed, I kind of realized that the matrix is usually a pretty good basic setup.
Yeah.
So I want to hear it from the world champion. Is the matrix still basic?
I don't use the matrix at all. I just use my theory is that's really good if you've got no point of reference. There's a bunch of problems with the matrix. First of all, we don't have wind speed instruments on the boat. So one person's 12 knots is another person's 16 knots, right? So unless you can accurately say what the wind is, and we all come off the water, I was blowing 25 today, and somebody else it was 15. So it's kind of a bit, it's already got its own level of interpretation. But I think the thing you've got to do is know where you align to that. Am I heavier or lighter than the person who wrote the matrix? And that's based on Howie and Mike's kind of calibration, and they sail with big crews and generally in decent breeze and in waves. So all of those things have to be considered when you use that. So we talked yesterday about where you start. I think you got to start with the rig all the way upright, either at 8 or 9 on the scale. And I think the great thing about the scale is if everybody's boat is calibrated the same, then you can come in and talk afterwards about where you had your settings. So from a purely everybody being able to talk, it's a really good thing. But everybody's physically different, has different strengths and weaknesses and different sailing styles. So I think if you're a pincher, you'll probably rake slower than if you're a footer. So all of these things impact what you do. Okay. So if you start with the rig, in the upright position, and you can get the rig all the way back to the big negative numbers if you're going to sail in breeze, because quite honestly, if you can only get your rig to 0 and it's blowing 25 knots, and I can get my rig to -6, I'm going to completely destroy you. You're just not going to be able to stay in that game. So you've got to be able to go through the whole range to make that work as well. And I think from that as well, that gives you a good idea of where you have to be able to put your rig. So.
And you were saying yesterday that you don't think your step is that. I'm facing an issue with my boat where I can only go to -2, and then I'm at the back of my mast gauge.
So move the mast step forward a hole.
Okay.
And then you'll get a bigger range, and it won't make any difference.
Yeah.
We in 09 we were experimenting before the Worlds of moving the mast step as much as 2 inches forward and back, and to see if it made any difference, and we could not detect any difference from moving the mast around.
That's good news, because I was going to move my mast gauge.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of work.
Well, yeah, I've none of my boats. I've just left them as they are. And I know Catherine's boats had it cut out, and so she's got more range on that. And if you're bored in the winter, I guess it's something you can do. But otherwise, I wouldn't do it. The only thing is, if you've got the auto ram, I've crashed the back of my mast gate because it kind of pushes it down. It's the whole load of the forestay is pushing back into the back of the gate. So yeah.
So how do you do with the ram setting? And do you have that connected to your forward stay?
So the Euro boat doesn't, because I rigged that before that was in vogue, but the US boat does. Best thing about that, for me, is I can pull the forestay back up. So when I need to pull the rig forward when the wind lightens, having the ram, auto ram, gives you power steering on pulling the rig back up. So you just pull the rig back up again. I think that's the single best feature of it.
Right. Any special tip for how you calibrate the ram?
Yeah, we went through that yesterday.
Oh, okay, got it.
So to reiterate that, set the rig up at 8, and what I do, all the strings are off the ram, the shrouds are just sort of snug. I mark that's 8 for the ram, and I don't use Howie's tuning guide for the ram. I go 8 is 8, then I drop the rig to 6, the ram falls to wherever it falls, that's 6,
okay.
4, that's 4, 2, 2, 0, 0, and so forth.
Okay. The ram at neutral, just following the rake.
Just following the rake. That's all it is. It's dead simple, with just a bit of snug on the shrouds, so the mast is straight, and that's just basically the calibration.
And so then, how do you determine how much ram to put on when you need ram?
I run to those numbers. except at the top of the range when it's light, I pull the ram up a bit, and at the bottom of the range I pull a bit more ram down.
Okay.
But-
But otherwise you just let the ram run.
Yeah, just
Well-
follows those numbers.
When you're actually sailing, you're loading everything up and you're actually bending the mast.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. When you go to, so you're sailing in heavy breeze, or you go to the wire, you need to put some ram on. How do you control how much ram you then put on additionally to the auto?
No, in the middle range I'm just running to those numbers.
Really? So you're not putting any extra ram on?
No.
Okay.
66, 4 is 4. By 2 I'm probably pulling a little bit down,
Okay.
and by 0 a little bit more, and then
Okay.
slightly more. I just pull a bit more down at every step on the way down.
Okay.
Again, moving that bubble up, twisting off.
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
the wind.
Yeah, as I'm getting overpowered.
Yesterday you said something about when you're in the marginal trapezing range, and right before you put your crew on the wire, you go ahead and you pull the ram down a little bit. But that seemed counterintuitive when I started.
What I do is I'm actually ramming up, so I'm not. I've got an up on my ram,
Okay.
and when the crew's not trapezing, I'm pulling that up.
And the cruise what?
Not trapezing.
Not trapezing.
I ram up,
Upper lead.
and then as soon as I'm about to put him I uncleat the up, and basically pull in that slack, and then that stays where it sort of auto rams down from there.
Always, when you release it, it goes back to that neutral.
No, I have to move it to my number because
Okay.
it's both sided, it's auto ram, I pulled it up, and I've uncleated both of the downs in that non-trapezing condition. And
And you
pulled
can
it.
see it from where you're driving.
Yeah, I can see the scale on the. To be really, I just uncleat it and then just take up the slack, and it's pretty much on the number then.
Have you ever compared where your marks are on the mast based on that tuning to, or you've seen the sticker that we all have on our mast,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Yeah.
based on how he's got
Yeah.
it. So, do they correspond, kind of? Or is
You see, there are too many variables. There's the distance between where the tube attaches on the foredeck, where your track is on the mast. So all of those things make that, unless everybody's boats are in exactly the same position.
I guess what I'm asking is, are the
If
steps?
that angle's different,
Right.
So if you had a longer tube, and Larry sells 2 tubes, he sells a short tube and a long tube. So, depending on where that is, that
Yeah.
angle's different. So this,
That's
That
really
doesn't
you get
work.
on your individual boat.
it's
Or-
totally
Yeah.
individual,
Yeah.
which is why I just do the
So-
drop it and mark it.
So our stickers are worthless. Not telling us much.
They make us feel good.
They do make us feel good. I feel good about my stickers, and honestly, my sticker might be like, it might just happen to fit everything because it feels
may
like
do, yeah.
it feels like it's quick, and when I tune to that, it feels
Yeah.
like it's
Lee, do you have auto ram?
no.
So what's
It's
the idea
all manual.
behind the sticker in the first place?
Well,
The
well, it's a
idea is
calibration,
we're doing
right?
what? Calibration,
Calibration.
so we can be repetitive.
So what I was
regardless
asking,
of what it is.
what I was asking isn't necessarily, is my 6 at the same place as your 6, but what I want to know is the distance between the steps about the same anyway? Because we don't put our stickers like at the same spot on the mast. We put our stickers based on we find what our base setting is, we put our sticker there, and then we're moving from there. So our stickers may be in different places as far as, depending on our ram,
Where
our
the
rod length.
attachment point is on the foredeck
Exactly.
and the length of the tube.
So it's gonna, so we don't place it in the same spot. It's different for all of our boats. We place it
Correct.
whatever base is. So
Correct.
are our steps from base about the same distances? as-
Assuming
prevention check.
the length of the tube is the same,
Okay.
and that angle is the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise,
But at least if you get to know what works for you on your boat,
Yeah.
you can repeat it because
Yeah,
you're
right.
you're
That's the same with the
engaged.
tuning guide, right?
Yeah.
That's the same with the tuning
Yeah.
guide. Like you said, it doesn't fit for everybody.
Right.
It's set for 2 guys, and then when you get out there and you say, hey, this doesn't work, now I know I'm raking back 1 step, I'm pulling back this much, and this I'm in the ballpark. If I feel, and that's why the crew's view is so important, right?
Yeah.
Crew's view, he could see the main, he could see the mast, he could see that it's not out of whack, or that it is, or hey, you may need just a little more. Most skippers aren't good enough.
Well, and you
Look
don't,
at the main
even if you're
and
good
do
enough,
that.
you don't have the view that the skipper does, that the crew does.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think it's a team effort at that point. If the skipper's not good enough to notice what's going on, and the crew says, we just need just a little bit more, what's the result of pulling on? It's going to change the bubble to where I want it,
I think what you have to do is the crew, the driver's driving, right, should be focused on the waves and boat balance, and the crew's got to go, we're higher, we're lower, we're faster, we're slower, and give you that input. And then you can make adjustments based on that to get the tune you need.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're higher, we're slower. Okay, maybe just ease the sails and go, come down and go faster. But whatever it is, you need to take that information and decide what you need to do to try and correct that. If you're lower and slower, it's time to go to the bar.
Isn't it another advantage to having the auto ram because it self-adjusts and you're not having the inverted mast with the spinnaker pole?
No, you still need an up to hold it. And that's actually one of the problems with it is because you've got to remember to release the up as it comes down. If you've got an up. If your up is automatic on the spinnaker head, then that doesn't matter.
The auto ram down and the ram up have nothing to do with each other.
So retouching on the scale just for a second, is it like, I find it, so you go to your rake numbers, and I like your method, because then you know the ram comes down and supporting the rake, but you also, I think it's really important too, like, I haven't sailed the 505 a lot, but I sail a lot of one design boats, and you can't use the North Tuning Guide on the Quantum sails, or this and that, So it's really important, I think, okay, I know Glazer, I don't know what sails you use, but like the Glazer, they have a flat cut, they have a full cut, they got this, they got a radial sail that's going to be fuller off the luff just because of the way they're all done. So the ram has a lot to do with what the main actually is going to look like, right? So I think it's really important, like, yeah, we have all this scale, but there has to be like, you're going to have to calibrate to your mainsail and the luff round that's in your mainsail and the twist and all that stuff too. So I think I like your setup because you just know that, like, okay, as we go back, the rig's not going to fall down, right? And you're not going to overbend the rig, or you're not going to, twist it off. But then from there, then we have to like make our marks or our adjustments to calibration, and like, okay, well, I've got a fuller main down low, so I'm going to have a little less ram or this and that. It's all small things. So I think that's really important to realize, like, what sail you have. We don't all sail Glazers, right? I mean, that's a Glazer tuning guide, right? The one that we all have on our boats.
So I think,
Yeah.
and this is where I don't use it as a tuning guide. I use it as a calibration
Right.
setup. And to me, the matrix, the numbers are blank.
Right.
Just the fact that we can all go, I had the rig here, I had the rig there, and that we can all talk in a common language.
No, I think that's a really good point. I'm just saying that I think it's really good to iterate. Like, you got to
Yeah.
look at what your setup is
Yep.
as well.
Yeah.
I think it's always what it's all about. The problem is so many people get into the boat and they don't know what everything should look like, So
No.
it's good to have a matrix so you know.